Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, Counter Spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
An episode of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense. An episode entitled Escape to Death, starring Francis Lederer, as it was broadcast 65 years ago, April 28, 1957, Escape to Death. And we thank you for tuning in on this Thursday, 28th day of April, 118th day of the year, 247 days remaining until we get to 2023. Maryland became the seventh state to ratify the Constitution on this date in 1788. In 1789, Captain William Bligh and 18 sailors set adrift, and the rebel crew returns to Tahiti briefly and then set sail for Pitcairn Island.
Casting me adrift 3,500 miles from a port of call, you're sending me to my doom, eh? Well, you're wrong, Christian! I'll take this boat as she floats to England if I must. I'll live to see you, all of you, hanging from the highest yard arm in the British fleet.
Charles Laughton as Captain Bligh in the 1935 motion picture Mutiny on the Bounty, who starred alongside Clark Gable as Fletcher Christian. In 1930, the first night game in organized baseball took place in Independence, Kansas on this date in 1930. A vaccine for yellow fever announced for use on humans on this date in 1932. Benito Mussolini and his mistress executed by a firing squad in 1945, consisting of members of the Italian resistance movement. In 1947, Thor Heyerdahl and 5 crewmates set out from Peru on the Kon-Tiki to prove that Peruvian natives could have settled Polynesia. In 1952, Dwight Eisenhower resigned as the Supreme Commander of NATO. He would soon be running for president. U.S. troops landed in the Dominican Republic on this date in 1965 to forestall establishment of a communist dictatorship and to evacuate U.S. Army troops.
I have ordered the Secretary of Defense to put the necessary American troops ashore in order to give protection to hundreds of Americans who are still in the Dominican Republic and to escort them safely back to this country.
Many were skeptical of President Johnson's actions. It was on this date in 1968, Hair, the American tribal love musical, opened. And it was on this date in 1970, President Nixon formally authorized American combat troops to fight communist sanctuaries in Cambodia. President Carter's Secretary of State Cyrus Vance broke with the president and submitted his resignation on this date in 1980.
I could not support the difficult decision taken by the president on the rescue operation in Iran.
Vance made the announcement in the Department of State's press room and said he still admired the president, but would not go any further on stating why he was leaving. A brief announcement made on Soviet television on this date in 1986.
An official announcement from the Council of Ministers. There has been an accident at the Chernobyl atomic power station. One of the atomic reactors was damaged. The consequences of the accident are being taken care of. Help is being given to the victims of the accident. A government commission has been set up.
It was the first announcement about the Chernobyl nuclear power plant disaster, which still won't be cleaned up for another 50 years. U.S. engineer Ben Linder killed in an ambush by U.S.-funded Contras in northern Nicaragua. Near Maui, Hawaii on this date in 1988, flight attendant Clarabelle C.B. Lansing, blown out of Aloha Airlines Flight 243, a Boeing 737, falls to her death when part of the plane's fuselage ripped open in mid-flight. This is what one passenger experienced.
There was a very loud blast, kind of, and the air just rushed out immediately. and I thought my window had blown out. It wasn't my window, and when I looked forward, all we could see was a blue sky. We all thought we were going to die. That's all there is to it.
The flight suffered extensive damage after an explosive decompression in mid-flight, but was able to land safely on Maui. Metal fatigue determined to be the cause of the accident on the 19-year-old airplane. Former CIA agent official Aldrich Ames pled guilty to giving U.S. secrets to the Soviet Union and later Russia. President Clinton gave 4.5-hour videotape testimony for the defense in the Whitewater controversy in 1996. In 1997, the 1993 Chemical Weapons Convention went into effect with Russia, Iraq, and North Korea, notable nations who had not ratified the treaty. Passing away on this date in history, Ed Begley, the fine actor, gave us his son, too, Ed Begley Jr. Country singer B.W. Stevenson, Take a Letter Maria. Actor Rory Calhoun, the 3-time National Wrestling Alliance champion, held the title for a combined 10 years, wrestled in 70 decades from the 30s to the 90s. Lou Thez, a name not well known today to wrestling fans, but he died 4 days after his 86th birthday. Wrestler Chris Candido, also band leader Tommy Newsom, and astronaut Michael Collins, who passed away just last year. This is the birth date of the 5th President of the United States, James Monroe, actor Lionel Barrymore, actress Carolyn Jones, best known for a role in the Addams Family as Morticia, Saddam Hussein, the President of Iraq, and actress Marcia Strassman. Well, would you believe that Swedish-born actress Anne Margaret is 81 today? Jay Leno, 72. From Sliders and General Hospital, Carrie Wurr is 55. From Blue Bloods, Bridget Monahan is 51. Actress Penelope Cruz is 48. Jessica Alba, 41. From a couple of people from Glee celebrating birthdays today, Harry Shum Jr. is 40, and Jenna Ushkowitz is 36. Those some of the people who celebrate the 28th day of April as their birthday, and if this happens to be your birthday...
Hi, we're the 4 freshmen, and we just want to say... Happy birthday to you!
From 65 years ago, April 28, 1957, Suspense on this Thursday, Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Hi, this is Kyle Horvath with the White Pine County Tourism and Recreation Board. If you want to get away from the big cities and get back to nature this summer, give us a call at 775-289-3720 or visit us online at elinevada.net. There's so much to do and see I can't mention it in 30 seconds, but check out our website and you'll see what Nevada is really all about. elinevada.net or follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Give us a call at 775-289-3720 or visit us online at elinevada.net.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
Francis Lederer's first film was a German silent film in 1929, Pandora's Box. But then he moved from Germany to the United States, did a number of motion pictures, Man of Two Worlds, Romance in Manhattan with Ginger Rogers, The Gay Deception with Francis D., and One Rainy Afternoon. He was supposed to take the role of lead in Break of Hearts opposite Katharine Hepburn, but Charles Boyer got that movie. Irving Thalberg was going to make him the biggest star in Hollywood, but Thalberg's death ended that possibility. He's branched out to do more character roles, Confessions of a Nazi Spy, The Man I Married with Joan Bennett, and Count Dracula in The Return of Dracula in 1958. And as we said, he did some stage work. He did a lot of work, but most of it was smaller work and smaller roles. But Francis Lederer had quite the career. He passed away in 2000 at the age of 100, so he did have a long life. And he was also in radio, like you're going to hear today. Suspense, Escape to Death, from 65 years ago, April 28th, 1957, on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Suspense. And the producer of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
The sixth commandment is short and explicit. Thou shalt not kill. Yet there are exceptions to the rule, regrettably beyond number. A man who kills is a murderer, or a hero, depending upon the circumstances. And circumstances alter cases, such as the circumstances of a people's struggle for freedom. We offer you a neat point of morality to ponder as we present Escape to Death, starring Mr. Francis Lederer.
And now, Mr. Francis Lederer in Escape to Death, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Outside, it's snowing more heavily now, covering the streets of Budapest with soft whiteness, covering the older, uglier snow and ice with their patches of dirty gray and angry red. The red of the blood of the freedom fighters. The fools.
A little more brandy, Dr. Göllner?
Thank you.
And tell me, Doctor, how do you find it treating Russian soldiers?
About the same. You know, the dying scream, the sick ones curse. The ones who are not so bad make eyes at my nurse. The man is the same regardless of the uniform. I feel warm and safe. Here with me are Laszlo Kogosh, former head of the secret police and now deputy premier, and Marshal Nikolai Chekhov, Russian commander in Hungary. I must admit I'm quite flattered by the attention of these important men.
And that is where you come in, Doctor.
Forgive me, what were you saying?
The subject was devotion to duty and country. Comrade Kogosh was just observing how hard you have worked to preserve Hungary.
Well, after all, Commander, I am a doctor. It is my mission in life to save, not to destroy. Well, I look at it this way. In medicine, there are quite often times when a cancerous growth must be excised to save a life. At the moment, Hungary is overrun with a capitalistic malignancy these idiots have chosen to call freedom. Freedom. Freedom from what? Themselves or those who have always defended them?
Kogosh, you were right. Dr. Göllner is the only man for the job.
Job? What sort of a job? Well, not that I would question any assignment.
Doctor, you have been selected for an extremely dangerous mission. You are going to escape to the west.
Escape? You must be joking.
Hardly a joke, Doctor.
But why should I escape? I'm a supporter of the new regime. I am a member of the party. My wife and my children are here. My career is here. My very life is here in Budapest.
Exactly. Nevertheless, you will escape to the west. And if your mission is successful, return to us.
But I don't understand.
Look carefully at the snapshot, Doctor. Do you recognize this woman?
Of course. This is Korina Zanova. I delivered her child a number of years ago. Wasn't she minister of something or other in Imre Nagy's cabinet?
Indeed she was. Also, she has escaped us. But we know where she is. A refugee camp just outside Neustadt in Austria. About 25 kilometers from the border.
And You want me to go after her?
Correct. You were her doctor. She has a broken shoulder by the bullet of an idiot who could not shoot straight. What is more natural than for you to help her?
But how can I?
You will carry a special hypodermic needle that has been dipped in a powerful poison. Is there anything finer than an injection to soothe the nerves?
Why, this is monstrous.
Karina Zanova must not live to tell her story to the United Nations people. She's the only one who knows the truth about what has happened in Hungary. What she has to say is exactly what the West wants to hear. That will not do.
But I'm a doctor. I'm not a secret agent.
You are a secret agent now, Doctor.
But there must be others better qualified.
None more so than you.
But what you suggest is murder.
The elimination of an enemy of the state is an act of the highest heroism.
Ideological nonsense. I can't do it. I'm a healer. I'm not a destroyer.
You spoke a moment ago of your children, your wife.
Yes, but what do they have to do with it?
Say nothing of your career and your life. All of these can be brought to an abrupt and untimely end.
Why, you wouldn't.
You know better than that. Of course we would.
Very well. What must I do?
That's better. And now for the details. We have prepared a special pair of shoes. The right heel contains an MVD identification tag to show in case you are taken by my men. The left, the poison needles for the hypodermic. You will also have the Hungarian army password for the next 3 days. This should protect you in the event of an arrest.
Well, how will I get across the border?
A train leaves Budapest for Győr and Sopron at daybreak tomorrow. You will be on the train.
Now look at this photograph. Study it well. This is Lajos Molnár. You must find him the moment you board the train. He's one of the freedom fighters' most daring border runners. 20 miles west of the city, the train will be stopped and searched by Russian soldiers. You must persuade Molnár to hide with you. Take him to the third coach from the engine, a car reserved for children. Once there, you will probably be safe. Is that clear?
I suppose, Commander, but what is the reason for this little game?
Simply this. Molnár has been over the border 12 times that we know of. You will use him to get across safely.
I see. Is that all?
No. There is one more thing. You will earn the party's undying gratitude if you make this, Herr Molnár's last trip across the border.
Well, then you demand 2 murders.
Dear Doctor, not murders. 2 blows for the preservation of Hungary.
Yeah. Yes, of course. Well, now, if you will excuse me, I shall try to get some sleep.
By all means, Doctor. And pleasant dreams.
There were no pleasant dreams that night. There was no sleep. There was no alternative. No escape. Before dawn, they came for me, took me to the secret police headquarters and gave me the shoes. Then they turned me loose with a group of political prisoners. At the West Station, I board a creaking train and wait until finally it lumbers out through the yards. Now begins the race with time. Desperately, I push through the cars, through corridors, crammed with standing people. Excuse me, please. Forgive me. I must get through here. Thank you. Do you mind, miss? Where is this fool? I push, I shove, I twist and turn through an endless crush of packed humanity. The click of wheels singing their song of urgency. We're slowing down. We are stopping. My 20 miles are gone. The Russian guard will come aboard in a minute. And then, at last, I see the man I must contact. Lajos Molnár. No wonder I have not found him. He was headed the same direction as I, moving forward. Molnár. We're going the right way, but hurry.
You said something?
Don't stop now. Move. The Russians will board at the rear. It is their custom. We must reach the coach for the children. Push. I will say one thing for this bare-chested, hard-eyed man. He wastes no time with foolish questions. With him leading, we soon reach the vestibule of the children's coach.
Now, what is your plan? Sure of this. If there is trouble, I will shoot. You first. Your arm?
Of course. Now listen to me. They are looking for one man, Lajos Molnar. Are you trying to die? Come, we have one chance. Inside. See, down the aisle there, behind the knot of youngsters. Hurry.
What are you doing? You can't stay here.
How old are you, son?
8.
Do you understand about the Russian soldiers and those who fight them?
They killed my father. I hate them all.
Good. We will hide you, son. Now you will sit on my chest. Easy. And this lad, sit across this pan.
What will we do if they spot us?
Shoot high, at their necks or above. That will keep the fire over the children's head. Then we must leave the coach and fight from the vestibule. Son.
Yes, sir?
If they see us, you boys dive at their feet and stay down. Is that clear? I will not stand for heroics.
Yes, sir.
The long minutes drag into individual lifetimes. Chekhov and his MVD symbol are worthless. If they come, one now will shoot. The pressing weight grows heavy on my chest as the time drags by. Now the children suddenly grow quiet. We know they are here.
You there! Have you seen a big man with black hair and a brown suit? We know he came this way. There may have been another with him. Speak up!
I know where they are.
April 28th, 1957, Suspense on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We'll have the news from 65 years ago today coming up next, but first...
No offense, but are you a little fat when you look in the mirror? How would you like to learn the secrets to lose 3 to 5 pounds a week easily without joining the gym or going through any crazy diets? It's called Body Sculpt by Med Diet. For the last 2 decades, we've been helping people just like you that have pounds they want to shed. We've helped millions of people lose thousands and thousands of pounds over the years. And now it's your turn. Learn the secrets of how to lose weight with one simple phone call. You'll see an amazing difference in a matter of days. Don't believe us? We'll offer you a money-back guarantee. If you're ready to start losing weight right now, call right now to learn more about your risk-free order to Body Sculpt.
Call for your risk-free offer. 800-738-5332. 800-738-5332. 800-738-5332. That's 800-738-5332.
Are you in bad pain? You know what I mean. Your knees hurt. Your shoulder hurts. Your elbow and back are constantly killing you. And I'm sure you've tried every pain pill or cream available at the drugstore. Am I right? Well, here's something you haven't tried. Pain Magic. Pain Magic is not available at any drugstore. The only place you can get it is by calling the special toll-free number I'm about to give you.
And to make things even better, call right now and find out about our buy one, get one free offer. We're so confident it'll work for you that we offer a free bottle with your purchase. No prescription required.
Call now to learn how you can get Pain Magic and get rid of your pain. Remember, your results may vary.
800-492-8164. 800-492-8164. 800-492-8164. That's 800-492-8164.
Thank you for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. And on this Thursday, an episode of Suspense, Escape to Death, starring Francis Lederer, as it was originally broadcast on Monday, April 29th, 1957. In the newspapers of that Monday, 65 years ago, these were some of the headlines. Jordan's young King Hussein left his capital yesterday for a conference with his royal neighbor and anti-communist supporter, King Saud of Saudi Arabia. The king flew to Riyadh, the Saudi Arabian capital, only 24 hours after President Shukri al-Kuwaiti of Syria conferred there with King Saud. The young monarch, accompanied by Bat Tanhouli, chief of the royal cabinet, Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister Samid Rifali, and the Saudi Arabian ambassador to Jordan, but it undoubtedly was in connection with Jordan's governmental crisis, from which the young monarch and his moderate supporters came out victorious over leftist and pro-communist elements last week. Mary Frances Hagan, an American imprisoned in Israel for spying for Syria, said last night her troubles all came from having had an Arab visa in her passport. The Huntington, West Virginia woman said in an interview at Rome's Campino Airport en route to home, "I was suspected from my very first day in Israel. I may have been indiscreet, but I certainly never did any spying for the Syrians or anyone else." Robert F. Kennedy, chief counsel for the Senate Rackets Investigating Committee, said yesterday there is no question that we could prove Dave Beck stole $320,000 in Teamsters Union funds. Kennedy made the statement in a TV radio interview on NBC's Meet the Press in answering questions about the allegations made against Beck when the Teamsters Union president testified before the committee. Chairman McClellan, the Democrat of Arkansas, hurled the charges then of theft against Beck. Beck, in interviews, said he borrowed the money from the union. He refused to answer questions about union funds under oath before the committee. Democrat National Chairman Paul Butler said yesterday the Eisenhower administration for a long time coddled Dave Beck, whom he described as a friend and confidant of President Eisenhower. Butler said Beck, president of the Teamsters Union, the only labor leader during Eisenhower's tenure to have entrance to the White House anytime he wanted to. The American Civil Liberties Union asked Congress yesterday to take a look at broadcasters who tend to avoid controversial opinions on the air. It asked Senator Warren Magnus, the Democrat of Washington, whose Commerce Committee has jurisdiction over the airwaves, to start an investigation that would find out whether unorthodox opinions are being held back from the public. The ACLU suggested these incidents for the committee's attention: the cancellation of the film Martin Luther by Chicago TV station WGN after many protests on religious grounds, cancellation of the drama The Commentator concerning a news commentator's right to editorialize by CBS, disapproval by CBS of a Catholic editor's proposed radio address on interdenominational fiction, and withdrawal by WCRA-TV New York of an interview program that discussed a report alleging that smoking caused lung cancer. And Chief New York City Magistrate John Murtaugh declared yesterday that virtually no arrests should be made for prostitution. He said the sale of counterfeit love should be the concern of doctors and sociologists and not a problem for the police. And those some of the day's top news stories as reported in the newspapers of Monday, April 29th, 1957, on your radio Suspense, which continues now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
They are hiding!
All right, speak. Where?
They have gone through to the engine, 2 of them. We saw them when they passed.
Good. You hear that, comrade? Let's go.
This was not the time to breathe freely. Not yet. This was the time to wait, with your heart in your throat. And then at last comes the sound we are praying for. The test is over. The train is moving again.
All right, get off. Must wear a tug. Here, this is for you. Give her some, then spread it around so all will have a bite.
Chocolate? Why in the world?
Stolen, where else? When one is in the open, one needs energy, especially running the border.
You plan to cross again?
Perhaps. Come.
So I had enlisted the aid of the finest blockade runner in Hungary. We weave our way through the children to the exit. Then abruptly, Mona stops. He turns, driving the barrel of his automatic into my stomach.
Now, my friend.
What are you doing?
Men have tried to pull this one on me before. You arranged to save my life, then learn how and where I operate. But never let it be said I was too hasty. I will give you just 30 seconds to explain how you knew my name and how you knew the Russians would board this train today.
In a moment, we continue with Suspense.
I have no idea why they did different music during a number of episodes, particularly, I believe it was in 1957 on Suspense. April 28, 1957, 65 years ago, Suspense on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on a Thursday.
Are you suffering with arthritis or osteoporosis? Do you have diabetes? Did you know that these are just two of the hundreds of diseases that have seen improvement with Dr. Wallach's incredible longevity products? You can't get them at a health food store. The only way to get them is to call us at 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Do you have heart disease, fibromyalgia, or high blood pressure? Do you have a terrible time losing weight? Dr. Wallach can help. He was a veterinarian and cured diseases in animals. He felt that he could do the same for humans, so he became a physician. Over 50 years of research and helping people like you goes into every bottle of Dr. Wallach's amazing discoveries. Do you want to feel better? Learn how to treat the cause of your problem rather than covering up the symptoms with drugs. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065.
We'll close out this week of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox with an episode of Fort Laramie starring Raymond Burr from 66 years ago, April 29, 1956. Even though his dying father, Red Horse, has asked for him, a young Indian named Snowfoot will not go on to the reservation. That's coming up on Friday's Classic Radio Theater, but let's wrap up this Thursday edition by the conclusion of Suspense from 65 years ago, April 28, 1957, Escape to Death, starring Francis Lederer.
And now, we continue with Escape to Death, starring Mr. Francis Lederer. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Is he bluffing? This huge man wears a reputation as the best blockade runner in Hungary. What does he mean to press the trigger of the heavy automatic he has shoved into my middle?
Your time is almost gone, my friend. Speak quickly.
Well, if you must kill me, you must, I suppose. Perhaps in your place, I might do the same.
All right. Say your piece. I shoot not from pleasure, but necessity.
I'm a doctor, Franz Gellner. Some time ago, I made the mistake of criticizing our emasculated premier in public. I was arrested and held for a month. This very morning, I was released.
What has that to do with your knowing my name and that I would be on this train today?
Well, last night, many patriots were executed. I was marched out with a Russian firing squad, but, well, for some reason, they did not shoot me. On the way back, two of the men were joking about how pleasant it would be when they could do that to Lajos Molnar. The other replied he would like to see your face when the westbound morning train was stopped.
I see. Now the next question. How did you know what I looked like? Well, doctor.
Well, to be frank, I do not function well with the gun pressing against my lower abdomen. Thank you. Well, as for the question, it is impossible to answer to your satisfaction. I had only a vague idea of your appearance. When I saw someone about right, I spoke to him. Well, you were the only one who did not give me a blank stare. To be truthful, I'm still not sure. Are you the much-hated Molnar?
A bit of chocolate, doctor.
We traveled by rail only as far as Győr. From there we bought transport to Chorna, where Molnar obtained a car of ancient vintage. Now the early darkness has descended on us. The bitter wind brings with it a light snowfall that makes it hard to see the road ahead. The old car's dim lights.
How do you feel?
Not badly. Except for my feet. They are freezing.
You sure you understand about this crossing?
I think so, but we had better go over it again.
We leave the car at the edge of the woods, a few miles from Boschok. The forest extends into the Austrian border. Once there, you will surrender yourself to the Austrian border guards. They will take you to the town of Recknitz. When you have identified yourself, they will ship you up the line to a big camp outside Neustadt.
Then, you're not going with me?
Not for long. The Austrians and I have a working agreement. When I do not bring much, I do not stay long.
But such a risk. Is it worth what you make?
I don't like that remark, Doctor. There is no profit. What I take across is information. For the world. For Hungary.
Time goes swiftly now. Eyes burn from straining to see Russian vehicles. Twice we turn off across country, driving without lights, to avoid oncoming Soviet trucks. Then we reach the wooded sector. We check our guns, leave the car, and begin the long, nerve-wracking walk to the border.
Halt. Keep down. Hear that?
Russians?
Oh, more tourists. Why can't they learn to be quiet?
There they go. Look at that woman run.
Hurry, down this way while they are busy.
It is a nightmare. Running this way, bent over. Makes me realize my age. Suddenly a foot catches me in the back and I go down my face against the hard ice. I roll over, gun ready. But Molnar is down on one knee facing away from me. Then I realize what had made him so fat. It wasn't all coat. There are two of them in Russian uniform. He gets both before they can fire. And we're up again, running. At last he grabs him by the arm.
See that open space? On the other side is Austria.
But the border guards, where are they?
Not far. They will have you before you go another quarter mile. Wait here while I hide my spray gun.
Instead of waiting where he said, I creep up behind him. When he kneels beside a fallen tree to hide the Sten gun, I do it. It is easy. Too easy. This first murder. I'm running in zigzag pattern across the open snow into Austria. I don't get far before two men in foreign uniforms step out from behind the trees.
Halt! Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Ja, natürlich.
Gut, kommen Sie mit.
The guards lead me over a trampled path in the snow to a long, low shack, full of tourists. One or two of them are near hysteria, and all of their faces show the reaction of overexposure. Some sit shivering, alone. Most huddle before the curved iron stove and try to dry their sopping feet. There are two men, however, who sit to one side and watch the arrivals. After a moment, one of them gets up and comes over to me. I recognize him for what he is, and I become acutely conscious of the MVD symbol in my right heel.
Your name, sir?
Dr. Franz Göllner, recently of Pest.
A doctor, huh? You'll be a welcome addition. Are you asking political asylum?
Yes, I'm asking political asylum.
All right, doctor, we'll try to rush you through. I'll go and see if I can't scare up a medicine kit for you. There are a number of cases that need help.
Excellent. I will be only too glad to help.
Just a moment, doctor. Your right shoe.
I look down and my heart stops. The trick heel, the one with the Russian secret police identification in it, has come loose. Now, it is slid halfway off the heavy walking boot, its thickness protruding beyond the back of the shoe on its grooved track.
Men could break a neck with a heel like that. Here, let me get my gun. I'll tap it back in place. There, all fixed. Isn't that better?
Yes, much better. The worst is over. All it remains is to be patient until I can be moved up the highway to Neustadt. They find a medical kit for me, and I become the angel of mercy again. Repairing, mending, curing. But thinking only of my plans for Korina Zanova. Finally, the day arrives.
All right. This is the relocation center at Neustadt. All families remain together. The single women on the left, please.
Excuse me, are you the Hungarian doctor they said would be with this group?
correct? Dr. Franz Gerner, at your service.
You can't know how glad we are to see you. Come with me, please.
Thank you.
You may not realize this, Doctor, but you have a number of friends here. People you have treated at some time or other. Yours must have been a very large practice.
Oh, fair size, I suppose. Of course, obstetrics was my specialty, you understand. I imagine I do know quite a number of the women here.
It's you, Doctor.
Incidentally, I don't suppose you've happened across a woman named Corina Zanova, have you? Both she and her child, let's see, oh yes, Aya was her name. They were patients of mine. Are they here?
Oh, now, isn't that a shame? I think they have just gone. The Americans are flying them to New York either today or tomorrow. But I will be glad to check for you. Meanwhile, please make yourself at home here in my quarters. Go in, wash up, while I see about Corina Zanova.
I go into the washroom, but not to wash up. I flip off the heel of my left shoe, take out the poison needle, and attach it to a hypodermic from the medicine kit. And then I pace the colonel's quarters, waiting. It is too late for the plan to fail. She must still be here. She has to be.
Well, Doctor, you are in luck. Corina Zanova has not yet left. She is over in the clinic this moment. She was quite pleased to hear you had escaped.
We go quickly across the compound to a large building and in through a crowded entryway. Finally, we reach an inner room. And there we are. Just the Austrian colonel, myself, and Corina Zanova.
Dr. Gerner, how very nice. Almost 7 years since little Aya. You should see her. She's here somewhere. She still remembers you well.
Well, you two will excuse me, huh? Don't keep her too long, Doctor. The plane leaves in an hour.
No, of course not. Now the final moment has arrived. And I'm nervous for the first time. The long hunt is over. I put the bag down. I open it, trying to keep my fingers from trembling as I remove the deadly needle.
Well, Doctor, is it not a blessing for us being here, away from the twisted minds and the warped thinking at home?
Huh? Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. Tell me, Corina, how has that shoulder been treating you?
Oh, about like any broken shoulder, I guess. To you as my doctor, I admit. It does hurt, especially at night.
I thought so. Well, roll up your sleeve. I'll give you a little shot. A new tranquilizing drug.
Uh-huh.
To make you feel better on the plane.
All right, Doctor. Thank you. Mommy, I heard... Oh, there he is, Doctor! Do you not know never to touch anyone when they have a needle in their hand? Now you have made the doctor stab himself.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mommy. Will it hurt? Mommy, he looks so funny.
Oh, what is it, Doctor? What's the matter? Doctor!
Suspense, in which Mr. Francis Lederer starred in William N. Robeson's production of Escape to Death by E. Scott Floor. Listen. Listen again next week when we bring you another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. Supporting Mr. Lederer in Escape to Death were Norma Jean Nilsson, Margie List, Charles Radilak, Jack Crucian, Dick Fields, Fritz Feld, Paul Dubov, and Ted DeCorsia. Suspense.
April 28th, 1957, Suspense on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Please thank this radio station, support their advertisers. It's their kindness and courtesy that allows us to come with you each and every Thursday at this time. Also, if you would please visit my webpage, classicradio.stream. There you can stream our shows on demand. You can learn more about classic radio collecting. You can even contact me there. And, classicradio.stream is the webpage. Classicradio.stream. All our social media links are there as well. And if you miss a day, you don't have to miss a single show. You can hear them at classicradio.stream, also at iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, TuneIn, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, Amazon, or Facebook. Just search for Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thanks for joining us on this Thursday. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.